At some point in a teenage boy's life, he has a girl chasing him from every angle. Sadly, it's quite the reverse for Wataru. Wataru's crush on his classmate Aika was so deep that it had him stalking and also doing the activity known as the simping. Take a wild guess at what Wataru gets in exchange at the end of the day. Not only did he get numerous rejections from Aika, he was also mocked by his classmates and their homeroom teacher, who clearly knew Wataru's purpose in life was chasing after a girl who didn't want him. Imagine being labeled as a simp just because he wore his feelings on his sleeves. One day, and out of nowhere, Wataru decides to finally cut those sleeves. Soon, he comes to realize that there are many other fishes in the sea, and simply gives up his chase for Aika. Congratulations, Wataru. Brotherhood is proud of you. This has Wataru totally avoiding Aika's path like a plague, and the effect shocks everyone in the class, including Aika. Turns out she's shocked that Wataru was actually doing activities by himself instead of bugging her. At lunch, Wataru is approached by a cute girl named Rina. However, Rina's motives are oblivious to him, and she ends up leaving. One would think it was a mere hi and bye exchange, or a mistaken identity. Soon, that assumption is proven wrong, because the next day, Rina shows up in Wataru's class. One unexpected occurrence is Aika and her friend, Ashita, showing up at the scene where Rina acts out some lovey-dovey attitude toward Wataru. After this little display, Aika is seen clearly pissed at Wataru. Of course, it's a classic case of jealousy. Ashita even goes ahead to call him a womanizing cheater. And Wataru's honest reaction? He honestly didn't understand how Ashita came up with such accusations. Ashita does give him a heads up that Rina was formerly in a romantic relationship with a senior in their school. This was clearly a warning that Wataru should watch his back. Although, her warning doesn't stop Wataru's welcoming attitude or Rina's advances. And Ashita has no choice but to spite Rina about her relationship with her ex. According to Ashita's plan, Rina flares up and leaves their classroom, while Wataru chases behind her. The two end up under the mini porch where Rina first approached them. It's no big surprise that the topic of their conversation is Wataru's crush on Aika, which the whole school happens to be aware about. My boy simping was that loud. However, he reveals that he's fed up of the numerous rejections from Aika and wants to move on. Although he makes it clear that he fell for her because she stood up for him in the past, and wishes to keep supporting her as her fan. Goodness, when I thought he finally let go. Also, Rina reveals that she broke up with her boyfriend because he complimented Aika one time. Although the compliment wasn't a flattering one, she got offended and decided to get him back by putting up all that lovey-dovey show. She also understands that Ashita's words were a way of protecting her friend. The next day, Ashita and Aika see Rina cozying up with her boyfriend again, showing that they have gotten back together. When they request Wataru's feelings about this, he responds that he knew something was up with Rina, so he let everything play out casually. The girls find Wataru's reaction weird. Not the normal type of weird though. It was a "you've changed" weird. Somewhere in between, I bet Aika was expecting that he'd be all over her again, now that he lost the attention from Rina. That evening, Wataru gets a shocking visit from Aika. Despite how hard it was to make out the words, she indirectly wanted to know why Wataru stopped annoying her, chasing her, and suddenly became reasonable. Apparently, she liked the simp version of Wataru. Which brings us to a conclusion. Women are unbelievable, you guys. The two don't get to express themselves fully when they are suddenly interrupted by the arrival of Wataru's older sister, who is the vice president of the student council. The next day in school, there's a change of seat arrangement in class, and Wataru is thankful that he doesn't get to bother Aika again. That is until Ashita corrects him that he never bothered Aika, and in fact, she's much lonely without him. Apparently, his closeness with Aika made her connection with other students weird. Therefore, she only had meaningful conversations with Ashita and Wataru. This turn of events gives Wataru an even bigger excuse to stay away from Aika, so she can make real friends. Later, Wataru has an encounter with Shinomiya, the chair of the disciplinary committee, who approaches him on behalf of Yuyu. Yuyu is revealed to be a member of the committee that was startled by Wataru while he chased after Rina the other day. Wataru clarifies that it wasn't his intention and also goes ahead to impress Shinomiya by providing a solution to a long-term problem in her committee. The only problem is that he gives her a fake name, impersonating Yamazaki, a boy in his class who has a huge crush on her. This has Wataru landing in big trouble with Shinomiya, as he is summoned by the disciplinary committee to defend his actions. Wataru's plea is that he was merely frightened and used Yamazaki's name because it would be startling for him to be in Shinomiya's bad books because of her position in the school. Shinomiya sees some reason in this, and luckily, Yu, who is usually scared of boys, is on Wataru's side. After all, she senses he has a nice side despite how their first encounter startled her. Wataru is left off the hook thanks to Yu's words, but then again, he is summoned to the council room by Kaede. Turns out the student council members are busy making preparations for the school summer, and Kaede involves her brother to do their bidding. Well, not without a price, of course. The next time Wataru sees Aika, she seems to have settled fine with the other students in the class. Not just that, they're also planning to visit her home after school to see her cute little sister. Wataru is pleased that she's getting along with the other students. However, Aika seems skeptical that he doesn't want to tag along. And just when she plans to invite him, unfortunately, they're interrupted by Shinomiya, who brings up a new problem for Wataru to solve. Soon it's summer school, and the least of Wataru's problems isn't Ashida's teasing comments, but how beautiful Aika would look in her summer uniform. The summer school comes with a lot of surprises. Firstly, Ashida discovered an unhappy photo of Aika from the time her classmates visited her home. Turns out the change of seat arrangement separated Aika from Ashida and Wataru, who now sit next to each other. Ashida tries to pitch the idea of a conversation with Aika to Wataru. But then his response? He doesn't want to spoil the amazing atmosphere Aika now has around her. Besides, she was now blending in fine with the other guys in the class. Later after football practice, one of Wataru's classmates, Sasaki, also shows Wataru pictures of their hangout with Aika's sister. Sasaki could not stop talking about how he bonded with the cute little girl. However, it is unknown to him that Wataru has been working undercover for Sasaki's sister, who is revealed to have a brother complex. Later at lunch, Wataru is approached by Yamazaki, one of the people happy about the change of seat arrangement at least. He expresses how sweet life has been since the seat was placed next to Koga, a loud and goofy girl in class. When Yamazaki brings him into the group conversation, Yoko brings up an interesting conversation about his crush on Aika and his virginity. Yoko talks about rumors of his possible relationship with some girls in the school, including Rina. You know something about careless talking among girls, the topic of discussion is usually right behind them. That's right, Aika had been present all along while Koga was blabbering. Aika angrily pulls Wataru out of their midst and into the music room. Seeing Aika mad like this kind of reminded me of an angry darling in the Franxx. Wataru, as usual, is clueless as to why she's mad. And that is when Aika reveals that he shouldn't be speaking with those girls, referring to Koga and her bunch. She doesn't give Wataru the liberty of explaining when she stumbles off with a flushed face. Later, Wataru is summoned by a member of the student council, Renji. It seems Wataru's older sister, Kaede, has been disturbed about a particular issue relating to him. The truth about the matter is that Kaede noticed Wataru's recent change in attitude and felt responsible for it because she had always mocked him right from when they were children. Hence, her depression was a result of having guilt for being the cause of her brother's sudden change in attitude and lack of confidence. Renji makes it possible for the siblings to talk on the roof, and Wataru makes it clear that he merely stopped doing crazy things because he started thinking before acting. He also makes it clear that he prefers his shitty older sister to whatever Kaede thought she was doing now. And with those words, an angry Aika bursts from her hiding place to force Wataru to take back his rude words to his older sister. Everyone is shocked at this act, including Kaede. And just when Aika notices the uncalled stalker behavior, she quickly rushes back with Ashida. In the end, it pretty much returns to normal between the siblings, while Aika has to live with the fact that she embarrassed herself. Don't you just love how the tables have turned? At a cafe, Aika and Ashida have some girl time talk. And what's more interesting than talking about boys? Well, the only boy they speak about is Wataru, and Ashida somehow gets Aika to reveal her uneasiness with Wataru's change of attitude towards her. Homegirl used to enjoy Wataru's chase after her, but now my boy has gotten wiser. She feels like a part of her is missing. Ashida makes it clear that Wataru is probably tired of chasing her, thereby making a fool of himself, and urges her to make a move for him this time around. The next day at lunch, when Aika tries to speak with him, he slips right out of class before she gets an opportunity to speak with him. Turns out Wataru is searching for a good place to have lunch, but instead, he ends up amid the girlies from the disciplinary committee and Aya, who is also part of the committee. It seems Wataru can't escape Shinomiya's wrath wherever he goes. He also gets an earful from her before he makes an insensitive comment about Yuyu's sudden expressive nature towards him. However, Shinomiya thanks him that since his encounter with Yuyu, she has gained her confidence when speaking with the opposite gender. Later in class, Sasaki comes to Wataru with a shocking revelation. Turns out the reason he's so close to Aika's little sister Airi was so he could get the sister validation and get Aika as his girl. It's a tough sight for Wataru, but what more can he do than wish the best for his friend? The rest of the day, Wataru avoids Aika so Sasaki can have some time with her. But unfortunately, he doesn't get to avoid her for long, and she blocks him after school hours. Again, the words are difficult to make out from her, so she just goes ahead to ask unnecessary questions like where he eats during lunch, who he eats with, and the groundbreaking question, of course, what about us? Turns out, when Wataru used to simp, they always shared their lunch. Wataru is quite aware that none of that could happen again, because he didn't want to spoil the new friendships he had, and because of Sasaki's crush on her. What he does is to smartly evade the question by bringing up their possible results in the coming summer school results, a result which he is revealed to drop in drastically. Turns out his only zeal to study was so he could be worthy of Aika. Well, now that all that has been blown to dust, Wataru couldn't make it among the top 50 students like he did last time. He settles at the 65th place out of 230 students. Aika takes the 2nd place. Ashita takes the 74th place, while the dull yet boastful Yamazaki ends up at the peak bottom of the whole school in the 230th place. What a finish! That's all for today, folks. Hit that thumbs up button for more recaps like this. Also, like this video and comment your thoughts on this anime. And don't forget to keep making the Brotherhood proud.